Hey, what's going on, guys? You got TLR here, and it is time. This is going to be the semifinals of or this week is going to be the semifinals of the PDL, the draft league I've been participating in for the last few months. We've made it all the way to the semifinals, and for the semifinals, our opponent is going to be another player we played in the original weeks. Is Thatch, the head of Puckle, and the coach of the Chicago Beartics. So you can see his team on the right-hand side of the screen, and unlike in the quarterfinals, where we actually brought the same six Pokemon as we did in the original weeks, we switched up a little bit. Only one Pokemon changed, but a bunch of the sets changed. So, um, yep, let's just hop right into it. And oh, I guess I should say which six Pokemon we're bringing. We're going to be bringing Nidoking, Clefable, Bronzong, Zapdos, Gyarados, and ya boy LeBron Gengar is coming back. So, first up is going to be Nidoking. Nidoking has just been very reliable throughout the weeks, and against this team is actually really good. Now, he does have a bunch of Pokemon that are specially defensive. In the original weeks, we brought Special Nidoking, which is why I don't think he'll expect it to be physical this week. So we've got Earthquake, Poison Jab, Ice Punch, and Toxic Spikes. Poison Jab and Ice Punch both boosted by the sheer force. So Poison Jab being able to hit stuff like Gardevoir really hard, Ice Punch hitting stuff like Goodra really hard. Uh, I don't think he'll be able to predict that. He might switch his Goodra and take 50% from an Earthquake and then go down to Ice Punch. So hopefully we can bait him with physical Nidoking. Hopefully he predicts special and we can capitalize on that. Last move is going to be Toxic Spike. So when we did play him in the original weeks, we also had Toxic Spikes on our Nidoking, and that's pretty much the reason we were able to win the game. Just the residual damage it applied to his team was able to allow us to outbulk him and outlast him. So, and the item we're going to be running is the Focus Sash because Nidoking isn't really bulky. He does have a lot of really strong attackers like Excadrill and Gardevoir and Celebi, stuff that can OHKO Nidoking. So instead of investing a ton into his bulk in order to live those hits, I just decided that a little less power by lacking Life Orb and giving him a Focus Sash is okay for this. Especially because most likely he's going to be our lead. He doesn't really have anything that's like, oh, I want to lead this against Nidoking, because just with these three moves, we hit his entire team neutrally at least. So, and even if we don't threaten a lot of damage, like let's say he leads Girder against it, we can get a Toxic Spike up on that. So right into the spread, nothing too complex here. Just 252 attack, just as much damage output as possible, and enough speed to outspeed Adamant Arcanine. It also outspeeds Timid Goodra, Timid Gardevoir if it's not Scarf, stuff like that. And the rest is put into HP, so let's say his hash does get broken by Stealth Rocks or something like that, he might also be able to live a hit. So yep, nothing too out of the ordinary for Nidoking, I guess you could say, unless you consider physical Nidoking out of the ordinary. But yep, that's going to be our Nidoking set. Hopefully it can put in a ton of work. I'm really hoping to catch him off guard with this thing. Next up is going to be Clefable, so this is going to be the new guy, or new girl, I guess. Clefable kind of looks like a female Pokemon. I don't know. Anyway, this is going to be the Pokemon that we didn't bring in the original weeks. We're going to be bringing it this time. And we're going to be bringing the Unaware set with the leftovers. And this is because a Dragon Dance Tyranitar, he did actually bring Dragon Dance Tyranitar in the initial weeks of the PDL. And I want something that can check that uh, pretty decently. So basically, this will prevent me from being affected by his stat boost. So if he decides to Dragon Dance, his attack boosts won't affect the damage output that happens on Clefable. However, Mega Tyranitar is a very strong Pokemon, and therefore still threatens a good amount of damage. But if he doesn't run Iron Head, Stone Edge can miss, and we can stall out the PP with Wish plus Protect, and then Crunch doesn't do very much damage either. So yeah, as long as he doesn't have Iron Head, we should actually be able to PP stall him with Clefable, if not just outright beat him 1v1 with Moonblast damage. But yeah, leftovers, Unaware, pretty standard for an Unaware Clefable. Moonblast, Knockoff, Wish, and Protect. Moonblast is there as the primary stab, does hit Tyranitar super effectively. It also does good damage to stuff like Gardevoir, Goodra, Celebi, stuff that doesn't resist it. It can chunk it. Knockoff is there because some of his initial switches to Clefable could be stuff like Golbat or Excadrill, and being able to knock off their items, assuming they're not Z-Move. I doubt he'd run Z-Move Golbat, but he could be running Z-Move Excadrill. But yeah, knocking off their items is just going to be super helpful in wearing him down because, we're going to be running some bulk. As you can see in the next three Pokemon, they're all going to be bulky Pokemon. So yeah, knockoff is there to remove the items of switch-ins, and then of course Wish and Protect is there not only to, help PP stall a possible Dragon Dance Mega Tyranitar, but also because Soft Boiled is not legal with Unaware Clefable, and the only other option for recovery it would have is Moonlight, and if we did have Moonlight, we actually wouldn't be able to beat Tyranitar because Moonlight doesn't heal as much HP in the sand. So, yep, and the spread is just super standard. 252 HP, 252 defense, and this is because Stone Edge has a chance to do over 50% even with this, so having just as much defense as possible gives us that patch so we can easily, or more easily take on the Tyranitar. This is going to be basically our Tyranitar answer for the week. Next up, we've got Bronzong. So Bronzong, we actually, well, I want to say we haven't used it in a while, but really we just haven't used it since we last used it. And that's been a while because we've only gotten one game in the past 3 weeks. But yeah, Bronzong coming back, just such a good Pokemon. Just putting in so much work throughout the weeks. We're running ye old Aguav Berry Recycle set. I just love this set. It really hasn't put in a ton of work, but just having that option for recovery, alongside, of course, we could possibly Wish Pass with Clefable to it, but having that option for recovery on its own can really help us check stuff like Celebi and Gardevoir. We're running Levitate this week, and initially we were running Heat Proof because I expected him to predict me to run Levitate and run fire type moves like Flamethrower, Goodra in order to check Bronzong, but he actually didn't. He was running stuff like Earthquake on Goodra and stuff like that. So we're just going to be running Levitate, and even with this, as long as he's not Mold Breaker Excadrill, we can wall that thing. And we get to check Goodra if it's not running Flamethrower. We check Celebi if its way to hit me is Earth Power. We check Gardevoir, stuff like that. Just a nice, solid, specially defensive pivot. We're going to be running Heavy Slam, Earthquake, Stealth Rock, and Recycle. So Heavy Slam is going to be the stab choice of the week. While it doesn't do too much to Tyranitar because it is heavy, it actually does more damage to the likes of Celebi and Goodra. Well, Goodra if it's min speed, or not min speed, but Heavy Slam does more to Goodra than a Gyro Ball would do if the Goodra is uninvested in speed, is what I'm trying to say. So basically, Heavy Slam allows us to better check those special attackers, while not providing as much output to the damage output on the physical attackers, but that is okay because Bronzong isn't going to be our initial switch into his physical attackers. We also got Earthquake. That basically hits Excadrill and Arcanine if he wants to try to pivot into those on my Bronzong, thinking I can't touch those things. It hits him for a decent chunk, being super effective against both of them. And then Stealth Rock just being a very solid move. He doesn't have a ton of rock resist, so having Stealth Rocks can chip stuff like the Golbat. The Tyranitar takes 12%. He, yeah, basically, it's Stealth Rock. I feel like I shouldn't have to explain this, but yeah, just being able to pressure his switches with Stealth Rock is something that I do like in this game. And then, of course, Recycle, again, with the Aguav Berry, gives him that recovery option. And this is our set. We've got just max HP and max Bdef. This allows us to check his special attackers as easily as possible, so we have less to worry about if, let's say, he gets a Bdef drop with Shadow Ball or something like that. So, yeah, let's just go on to the next one. It's going to be Zapdos coming back. We've got Leftovers, Pressure, with Volt Switch, Heat Wave, Defog, and Roost. So this is going to be our hazard removal. He does have options for Stealth Rock in the Tyranitar and the Excadrill. So I do think one of them will be running Stealth Rocks. I won't know exactly which one. But basically, I'd prefer him not to have Stealth Rocks, especially because that limits the ability for Clefable to switch into the Tyranitar, because we're not earning Magic Guard. So that could be a big problem. So being able to prevent hazards from getting up is kind of important in this game. Volt Switch is there for the momentum. He only has one ground type and therefore only one Volt Switch immunity. No lightning round Pokemon on his team. So after we get rid of the Excadrill, we can pivot around with this thing pretty easily with the Volt Switch. Heat Wave is there because, again, it does hit the Excadrill, allowing us to check that thing. It also hits the Celebi super effectively, harder than Hidden Power Ice as well. So we can check the Celebi if it doesn't have a way to touch Zapdos, if it's not running a Psychic type move or something like that. Although it probably will be, in case it's not, we can actually beat Celebi 1v1 with our Zapdos. With Heat Wave, Defog is there again for the hazard removal, and then Roost for the reliable recovery. We're actually going to be running a bit of a faster Zapdos this week with max HP, 228 defense, and 28 speed. And the reason for this is because if you do remember, or if you did watch the initial battle I had with him, the battle actually came down to a speed tie. My Zapdos speed tied with his Tyranitar. So in order to prevent that from possibly happening, I've basically EV'd this Zapdos to outrun Adamant Mega Tyranitar. So if he wants to be able to outrun my Zapdos with his Tyranitar, he's going to need to run a Jolly Tyranitar, and if he's running Jolly Tyranitar, his damage output against stuff like Clefable and Nidoking is much, much less, and that's going to be really good. So yeah, and then of course the physical defense allows him to pivot into stuff like Girder and Arcanine and Excadrill and stuff like that. Those hard-hitting physical attackers that don't really have too much to hit Zapdos with. So next up is going to be Gyarados. Now, Gyarados is going to be running one of the most interesting sets I've ever run on any Pokemon in this draft league so far. So Gyarados I obviously Intimidate because Moxie's not super useful on a Pokemon that you have to Mega Evolve immediately. And then our moves are going to be Waterfall, Dragon Dance, Torment, and Protect. So I definitely wanted something that he wouldn't expect on Gyarados. And now he doesn't have a ton of water resists. He does have the Jellicent and he does have the Celebi, but and the Goodra. But the Jellicent can't do damage to this. It can Will-O-Wisp it, but if we Torment it and then Protect on its Will-O-Wisps, then it has to Scald Burn me to beat us 1v1. And it can't even run Water Absorb to eat up Waterfalls because we have Mold Breaker after we Mega Evolve, so we can actually hit the Jellicent. And then of course, for Goodra, can Draco Meteor us, but after it loses special attack, it's not going to be able to be doing too much damage to our Gyarados. And if it tries to run Superpower like it did in the initial battle we had, we can Torment and then Protect on the Superpowers, and therefore it won't be able to hit us with that. And then of course the Celebi. The Celebi would be the biggest problem. Leaf Storm doing a good chunk. It cannot OHKO us, but basically, if the Celebi isn't choice locked, then we can Torment and Protect on the Grass type move. And then if it doesn't have like it just won't be able to touch us unless it has like Dazzling Gleam, I guess it could have. But yeah, basically I don't expect him to predict me to be running Torment Protect. So I don't think he's going to be running sets that will be able to hit me outside of like one move. So like I only expect stuff like Celebi and Goodra to have like one good move to hit Gyarados. And if we Torment, we can just Protect every time they use that move, and when they can't use that move, we can Dragon Dance up and actually pretty much beat those things 1v1, as long as like we don't get Spidef dropped from Earth Power or burned from Flamethrower or something like that. But yeah, this is basically just like a huge bait set, something I don't think he'll expect, and hopefully can put in a lot of work because he won't expect it. If we can like Torment the Goodra, the Celebi on the switch in, that could be really, really good for us. So into the spread, it's pretty fancy, but I think the EVs kind of make sense. With the Spidef investment we have, we actually live a Magneton Specs Thunderbolt 100% of the time. So we can attempt to beat that thing. And speed allows us to actually outspeed Scarf Celebi. So if it is choice locked, we outspeed Scarf Celebi after 2 Dragon Dances. And then the rest is put into attack. It gives us 196 attack, which is still a very respectable attack stat. But yeah, basically we're running a ton of bulk this week alongside Torment and Protect. in an attempt to set up dragon dances on stuff that I normally would not be able to set up dragon dances on. So that's the point of this set, and hopefully something he won't be prepared for. So last up is going to be your boy LeBron, running a pretty similar set to the one we ran in the initial weeks, but not exactly the same. We're going to be running the Titanium Z again with Shadow Ball and Focus Blast, but instead of Sub and Will-O-Wisp, we're actually going to be running Psychic and Knockoff. So Shadow Ball, of course, hitting pretty much his entire team neutrally by that Tyranitar, and then Titanium Z plus Focus Blast means the Tyranitar can't really stay in against this thing and try to set up on it or something like that. Psychic is actually there for the Girder and the Golbat, so both of those Pokemon, since they are not final evolutions, have the potential to run the Eviolite. So with a combination of knockoff, we can knock off their Eviolite and then hit them with a full power Psychic. And if it's physically defensive, Golbat Psychic has a chance to KO. Same thing goes for Girder if it's not like a Spadef Girder. However, he does have the potential to run stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised. But if he runs like physically defensive Golbat or max attack, max HP Girder, they have a chance to die to Psychic after a little bit of chip and getting their Eviolite removed. So another rather bait-ish set. Hopefully you can lure in some Pokemon, get rid of their items, and then threaten a ton of damage on them. Spread, not too fancy. We have 76 HP because it doesn't really fit anywhere else. Max special attack for maximum damage output. And 180 speed with the timid nature allows us to outrun timid max speed Celebi. So if it's not choice locked, we get to outspeed that thing and just threaten with a bunch of damage from a stab Shadow Ball. So, yep, that's going to be the team. It's very, very different than what I've been running. Just like basically well, not most of them, but like a few of them. Stuff like Nidoking and Gyarados and Gengar. I'm running sets that I don't think he's going to predict me to bring, and hopefully I can capitalize on that by, setting up Dragon Dances or getting up maybe free Toxic Spikes with Nidoking, or getting a free kill with Nidoking or Gengar because he won't expect the knockoff or something like that. But yep, that's going to be the team for this week. Just super crazy, but hopefully it can pull through and hopefully we can make it to the finals. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a good game. I don't think I have anything else left to say, so thank you guys so much for watching. The battle should be going up tomorrow, as long as this goes up on Saturday. I know I didn't actually get my previous battle or team builder up on Saturday, but I'm going to hopefully get this one up on Saturday and the battle up on Sunday. So yeah, see you guys then, and goodbye for now.